I don't think we're ever going to get to that level of seamlessness where you can walk through the front doors and check in through your mobile phone and use your mobile phone in order to open a room door without meeting a single human being along the way. I don't think we'll ever get there.
From Hotel Tech Report, it's Hotel Tech Insider, a show about the future of hotels and the technology that powers them.
On this episode, we speak with Arjun Balji, the president of Royal Orchid Hotels. This India-based company operates over 100 properties, including over 250 food and beverage outlets. Arjun walks us through his tech stack, which is composed of many innovative startups that work together to form one holistic tech ecosystem. And this program has contributed to a boost in direct bookings in the few months since implementation. I like to start the conversation by learning a bit about your background and your current role. Would you please tell me what you're doing now and what your role consists of, what your responsibilities are, and a little bit about your company as well?
Sure. My name is Arjun Balji. I'm the president of Royal Orchid Hotels. Royal Orchid is a full stack hotel company. We have a little over 108 operating hotels in India. We've got a couple of hotels operating in Nepal and one in Sri Lanka. We are an Indian company. We started with the idea of Indian hospitality across the board. We are now in the middle of reimagining our business just because we have scale per se. So in reimagining our business, we are creating new hotel brands. So we have a slew of 5 hotel brands that we're rolling out. It's fast growing. We have hotels that we own, we lease, we manage, and we franchise. We run all the F&B ourselves. So that'll be about 250 odd F&B outlets plus banquets plus, so it's a large operation. And in order to enable this, we started our journey to move to the cloud from a PMS perspective about 4 years ago. And I've obviously found it, interesting and challenging. And, we're on that journey now, and we're integrating with multiple technologies to enable us to do things in a more seamless manner. So my job today in the company is about reimagining the brands that we have, setting each brand on a path of growth, setting processes and systems to enable those brands. And that one of those facets is to use technology in an effective manner so that we can, monitor the growth of those brands. The hotel owners are happy with how they're performing, and we can push more guest services through those technologies to make the lives of our guests easier.
And you mentioned there are a couple of brands within the Royal Orchid portfolio. How many brands are you working with?
So they're all our own brands. Royal Orchid Hotels has their own brands. We've got Royal Orchid, which is an upscale brand that we've currently got across 15 locations, and the rest fall under a brand called Regenta. And Regenta has a number of silos under it. So it's got Regenta Inn, which is going to be rebranded now. Then we've got Regenta Place, which is the quirky, fun local hotel. And then, you've got Regenta Centrals, which are your bog standard, what you see is what you get kind of 4-star hotel offering.
And are the properties typically in urban areas? Who's your typical guest?
It's even keel across the board between business and leisure. I think what's happened in India over the last couple of years is people are even willing to go and check out, thanks to COVID, the Explore India offering has grown considerably. So, we've basically doubled our portfolio in the last 3 years. It's been an incredible hockey stick type of growth. And as I said, we're predominantly an Indian company catering to India, right? And it's India, middle market, and upper middle market who we cater to, and that's our guests. So it could be the same corporate customer who comes into our city hotels, who then takes his family and friends over to one of our vacation spots for the weekend. So it kind of works out to be pretty much the same kind of customer.
Got it. Very cool. And one thing you mentioned just briefly is you have doubled your portfolio size in the last couple of years. Can you talk to me about how technology has maybe helped you with that growth or made that growth more efficient?
Well, it's not so much the technology that has made that efficient. I think the fact that there's opportunity in India, and, we're a very agile hotel company. We follow an asset-light model right now. So it's kind of a management platform, if you want to call it that. So we're very flexible with hotel owners. However, with each of our contracts, we're very clear that I go back to hospitality first principles, right? And we kind of use a simple two-part question in making any decision across the board. And the first question is, will my guests love it? And the second question is, will it make me money? And if the answer is yes to both those questions, we go ahead and do it. And so part of the digitization of our company stemmed from those two, right? So you've got in a typical hotel tech stack, right? That we've got the PMS, you've got basically the channel manager, you've got revenue manager, you've got all of these different pieces of software that come together to make a hotel work. What we found over our years of, I want to say, experimentation is that there are either the super large Oracle Micros type people who do a phenomenal job at what they do, but they're frightfully expensive for the smaller hotels and the Indian hotels that we operate, right? So we had to go and tinker around and find a tech stack that suited us. And that tech stack was a culmination of specific hotel piece or specific piece of software that actually are really good at what they do, right? So we've got host books who do, they're an online accounting platform and they're phenomenal. So we have Hotel Logic sitting in the middle of it. And then you're like, listen, how do I take Hotel Logic's an API integrated with Pauses, which is a phenomenal food and beverage offering, a beverage management platform, and connect that to Hostbooks, which is the accounting platform for everything else. That then gets connected to Rate Gain, which is the channel manager, right? And then it's connected to another piece of revenue management software. Then you've got Salesforce sitting somewhere that is connected to all of it so that sales and marketing and development efforts can kind of, go through the Salesforce channel, right? So we've had to pick and choose all of these, 5, 6 different pieces of software and make them talk to each other. And in doing that, we came up with a really cool tech stack that is now compulsory for our hotel owners to adopt, right? But at the same time, the tech stack is cost effective for them to adopt, right? And that really was a very interesting little piece where you could go to a hotel owner. I mean, it's a cost per room basis, right? That we don't make any money out of, right? So it's a direct contract between the hotel owner and the tech companies themselves, right? But we just ensured that this is all implemented for them at a really, really cost effective manner.
Tell me a bit about how these changes come into play. Like, you have an idea, you suggest it to maybe the product team at Hotel Logics, and are they generally supportive of building it, or is there some negotiation there?
I can tell you that with Hotel Logics, they're a startup, they're a well-funded startup, they are agile, their founders are incredible people, and they kind of get it, right? So exactly this same ethos of me sharing value or knowledge with them. And where do I get this idea? I don't get this idea, right? It's never me. It's always a user within our ecosystem, within the hotels, who comes back and says, listen, if this functionality was there, it'll just make our life easier, right? So that demand has come from the end user, not from me. Right? I don't know how to even run that piece of tech, frankly, right? So somebody who's the end user of that tech comes up with a request. It filters back to us to say, maybe if it's done in an X manner, it'll help our end employee. And then we send that on to Hotel Logics to say, hey, listen, is this possible? They would then come back with, we already have this tool and maybe let's get a new training session done. Or it's a good idea, let's develop it or let's dwell on it and then develop it, 4 to 6 week cycle. We have a new patch that we wanted, right? So it's been a collaborative effort with all of our vendors, right? To try and get the best solution that our end user, and for software, our end user is our employee, right? It's the last waiter, it's the last housekeeper, it's the last front desk agent, right? So we need to ensure that everything works.
And you mentioned it was about 4 years ago that you migrated from a legacy system to Hotel Logics. Tell me about how you chose Hotel Logics. How did that decision come to pass that you were ready to change PMS vendors, which I can imagine for a portfolio your size is no small feat?
Well, listen, it's an ongoing process. Just remember that, we added 50 hotels over the last 3 years, right? So then there was COVID before that. We lost a number of hotels, shut down. So this journey actually started just before COVID when we decided that, listen, we want to digitize, we want to move to the cloud, and let's go out and shop around for a PMS system that actually suits us. Now, the one thing that I can tell you is that one of the key decisions of choosing Hotel Logics was that their founders were in India and they were backed by name brand venture partners like Accel Ventures. That Accel had put money in them, right? So there's automatic credibility with Accel having put their stamp of approval on them, right? That was a key consideration. The fact that they were accessible to us. This was an experiment that we were starting with, and I didn't want to. And we started with just a couple of hotels, right? So the experiment was, let's start with a couple of hotels that we own, that we can control, and that if things don't work out, we can move back really quickly to the legacy system. So there were months on end where we actually had two systems running in parallel, right? It was a complete pain for the hotel operations team, but we had to do that, right? So there were a number of vendors who we spoke to, and I just think there was a meeting of the minds between the founders at Hotel Logics and us, right? It really was. It was a meeting of minds. It was something that we got on instantly with the vision that they were on and the path they were on, and where I kind of saw my company going to, right? And it just kind of became a story where, all right, well, let's grow together, right? Rather than you being a vendor per se and me being a client and me begging you for service. And it just morphed into a partnership rather than a vendor seller type situation.
Is there any new vendor on the market, not for PMS, but for another type of software that might be on your wish list? Something you've seen recently that you're considering implementing?
But the one thing that we've done two pilots of. One is a web app version of a hotel concierge app. It's digitization of hotel services and experiences. And it's pretty cool how simple they made it to implement. I mean, you can implement a hotel a day, right? Provided you have your data correctly. And they are currently being integrated with Hotel Logics as we speak, so that, if a guest checks into room 401, he can order whatever he wants via his web app, right? And it's built to Zoom. Now, the reason we went the web app route is that, I mean, how many hotel apps are you going to download? Right? It's crazy. And I think the way guests see it is, the moment you come to a hotel, there's a QR code, you scan it, the app opens up, and once you leave, you forget about it, right? I don't see myself interacting with the Four Seasons hotel app on my phone when I'm not staying at the Four Seasons, right? I mean, I don't even book through that app if I'm not staying there. But it's crazy. So that's one that we're doing. The second that we're mucking around with is the voice AI piece, right? For customer service. The only bit that we're struggling with is India has 26 languages and maybe 260 different dialects to it. So how do I get vernacular AI voice chat going where the AI actually understands the need of the consumer that may not be in the Queen's English? That's the puzzle that we're still trying to solve. The third piece that we've started implementing across the board actually is kind of a virtual tool for banqueting, right? And we've got so many banquet venues and halls across our hotels. So in two hotels, we've started this trial where, there's a proper walkthrough that you can do to the hall. You can choose the kind of setting and display you want, and you will actually see the 3D rendering of it come up. You can drag and drop what you want from your menu, and then you click checkout, and a RFP is made for you instantly. And then it's real-time rate, real-time inventory for that banquet hall as well, right? And so there's no picking up the phone and speaking to anyone. You can do that, and then somebody, of course, will call you to complete the transaction. But I just think that a picture speaks 1,000 words, and the fact that if you're able to walk around a hall, almost like walking around in the metaverse, it's kind of cool, right? So we've done that with one implementation, and now we're trying to figure out how to roll it out across the platform. But it's frightfully expensive today to do. So Maybe we won't get to 107, but maybe we could get to 20 or 30 hotels, or the larger ones at least.
I'm interested to learn a little bit more. You mentioned the web app for your guests. What other pieces of technology do guests use? Like, how is check-in handled at your properties?
Right now check-in is very, very simple. You come to a front desk and you give your name and whatever it is, and you're checked in. Like, it's a pretty manual process, right? Now, we've experimented with the entire digital check-in story, and we're doing a pilot at a hotel at the inn level, right, which is the bottom of the pyramid story. So that's being rebranded as Regenta Zed, Regenta Z, and we're rolling that out. So how does one do a AI avatar bot that you can go and talk to and check in through that bot? Right? There is obviously the safety and security concern. So the fact that we don't want people to, when they walk into the hotel, they're going to have to be scanned. And there's a law in India where you do need baggage scanner, like people to be physically checked or walk in through a door frame detector. There is a law that you do need to take ID of the person staying in the hotel, right? So keeping all of these laws in mind, you need human interaction at some point, right, during the check-in process. So we're trying to see how we can minimize human interaction and make it more seamless, right? The flip to that is, we've got 1.5 billion people in India, and somebody's got to employ them, right? So we don't really want to be replacing. So the purpose of technology for me personally is not to replace the human being, but to enable them to perform better. Okay. And I don't think we're ever going to get to that level of seamlessness where you can walk through the front doors and check in through your mobile phone and use your mobile phone in order to open a room door without meeting a single human being along the way. I don't think we'll ever get there, but never say never. We already have that tech, right? We're just not enabled it, which is to use your phone key to open the door. I mean, that exists, right? That's there with us today, right? We've just not done that yet.
Taking just a little step back, talk to me about your rewards program. I understand that this is a newer addition to your tech stack. How does it work? What are all the pieces that are in play there?
So we wanted to simplify the method of earning and burning for the customer. And we wanted to simplify the idea of what they earn and what does that actually amount to, right? What does a point mean, right? So very simply, if you're a base category member, it works out to be a 2% cashback, right? So think about it, for every $100 you earn $2 back. This is instant, real time, right? Done. Then if you go to a second tier of rewards, which currently we have just 2, right? And you earn 4 rupees of 4% cashback per $100 that you spend with us, right? Now, along with that, there's obviously F&B discounts, between anywhere ranging between 15 and 25%. There's beverage discounts, spa discounts. I mean, the works, right? That's all kind of loaded in there, right? In these 2 programs. But the key is that if somebody sits and earns, the $2 on his stay, where does he burn it, right? And while we're saying you earn with us in a closed community, right? You've got to come to me to spend the money for me to reward you. We want you to be able to burn that money or that 2% cashback that you accumulate. I want you to be able to use it anywhere you please, right? Because it's your money. It's as good as me giving you $2 back per $100, right? Now, if that's the principle, right, you could be sitting at the coffee shop and, at our coffee shop and use the $2 instantly to buy yourself a cup of coffee, or you could accumulate that and buy yourself a pair of Levi's jeans, right? Get an Amazon voucher for that amount for all I care, right? So as far as we're concerned, we're very clear that this 2% that we are allocating towards a reward is a debt we owe to the customer. Okay. And that is a principle in which we're saying if that's a debt I owe, it's sitting on my balance sheet as money that I have to pay someone somewhere, or it's a collective number of people who I owe this money to, then whether I pay that money to my own hotel or I pay that money to a charity or I pay that money to Amazon, right? That doesn't matter to me. There's a money that has to go anyway, right? So that's kind of how we designed it. So we got a rewards platform partner again to help power it. We sat and tweaked and tweaked and tweaked and came up with the ideal program for us. We then had them integrate with our channel manager so that guests can book directly, but the booking engine we developed ourselves, right? So the hotel booking engine that takes the friends and family code that say if today it's your birthday, it should automatically know that it's your birthday and therefore automatically apply that discount on your room rate, right? It just needs to do that, so it's things like this that we are doing and thinking from a guest perspective, right? Of how do you get them to book directly through us, right? Or through the rewards program, right? Where they will get the best rate and the best guarantee. The other thing that we did is, and we're rolling this out, is that free Wi-Fi across the hotel is open to our rewards program members, right? And that's it, right? So if you're not a rewards program member, you don't get free Wi-Fi. Then you pay for it, right? Now, what we suddenly had is 100% of the guests checking into the hotel now become rewards members, right? So in a matter of 2.5 months, we've signed up 370,000 active rewards program members, and they're active. It's not like they've signed up for the free Wi-Fi and bugger off. They've signed up. They're actually engaging with us, on a regular basis. So, we want to make that engagement higher, and we're very happy to be giving away 2 and 4% cash back to these guys because they are loyal members who will keep coming back, right? And so it's been a conscious effort of getting them to engage with us more, right, on a regular basis, and therefore allow us the opportunity to reward them, right? That's the principle where we're coming.
And do you find that guests are happy with the program? Do you have any surveys, or do guests mention it in reviews or anything like that?
So it's a new program for them to be mentioning in reviews right now, but I can see when I walk around some of the hotels, I actually see that at the restaurant when they're about to pay. They're, oh, listen, I'm a rewards member, and pull out it's digital, right? So pull out the rewards and say, hey, listen, give us the discount. Now that's fine, right? But at least they're able to record their rewards points instantly, and they're able to earn their spend, right?
How much of a discount are you giving on the website for the loyalty program members?
Again, it's tiered based, and it's also length of stay based, and it's the number of room nights you've done. So anyway, up 10% and above. But what's interesting is that, we've got a gamification piece where you get instant rewards. I mean, 1 month you could get a cup of coffee at any of the hotels. The next month you could get 2 nights free at any of the hotels. So, we're putting in the idea of instant gratification, because I think in today's generation, if I sign up, what do I get, right? It's like, in order to sign up, you get free Wi-Fi and you get a discount. If you stay with us, instantly you get, free beverage, right? So you get a beer free the moment you check in for the first time, right? So that's kind of instant gratification for the customer, right? So it's a combination of discounts and it's a combination of freebies, right? We had to do that.
I'm curious to hear about a couple of your top business objectives as you think about the future of Royal Orchid Hotels. What are a couple high-level goals that you're working toward, and how does technology help you get there?
Very simply, this Regenta Zed, or Zed by Regenta, value price hotel platform that we are rolling out starting this month is a pure play franchise model, right? So the way that we're imagining our business is that on one silo you have brand technology and basically brand technology and the revenue of that technology, right? The revenue of those hotels coming on one side. On the other side, we've got hotels where we own the asset and we own basically the meat of the business. So if you look at the management company side of things, technology plays a really vital role for us because it's the way to ensure basically ensure rate parity for the customers. I think we're among the only hotel companies in the world that does a daily profit and loss account for each of our hotels. Okay. So you gotta know real time how much money you made at the end of the day, right? In each hotel. Okay. And that is only enabled by technology. So even for the smaller hotels, remember, I mean, you've got hotels in our system that are 30 rooms, right? That's it, right? We've got hotels now in 70 locations around India. Some are in far-flung locations where access to regular monitoring is very tough. So you have to rely on the individual sitting there. So be it high definition remote cameras to ensuring that a guest has a seamless check-in experience with the Wi-Fi being available, to the fact that you have to monitor the inventory of the hotel. That the guy's got his soap and whatever shower gel in the hotel room that is consistent with the rest of the premises, with the rest of the group. So I mean, they're little piece of the puzzle that all have to come together, and they're all available just because all monitorable by corporate office, just because we've been able to, or we're trying to set up this seamless cloud-based tech stack, right? And on the Z platform piece, we've got really, really ambitious targets of franchise to hit a couple hundred hotels in the next 2 years, right? How do I do that without actually going in there with a hotel in a box model, which is, here are all the branding elements, here are all the technology elements, and you're off to the races, right?
Have you thought about any roles on property being able to do business from a smartphone? Like, I don't know, housekeeping supervisor, is the PMS available on mobile?
Yeah, we have that already. That's rolled out. PMS on mobile, rooms, whether they're clean, not clean, under renovation, all of those stats are there, are able. We have mobile check-in today. We have the ability to check in our guest on an iPad, right? So all of that was kind of done on day zero. But that's enabled, and it's not rolled out across the platform yet, right? But it's there, right? It's being done in a couple of the hotels where guests have more time, right? Say the check-in process and all of that. You take them to the room, you explain what the room features are, the property features are, sit and have a cup of tea with them, and then get them to sign on an iPad. I mean, all of that stuff is there. But, we have the ability, and we've started rolling that out, of taking orders on a mobile phone, right? Rather than on a pad and paper. So that's there. We've enabled all of that tech.
In just the last couple of minutes we have, I'm curious, based on your experience, what would you say are one or two skills that a hotelier should have to be successful today?
Humility. First skill. There's always going to be somebody who's going to do a particular process, or a restaurant, or a room, or somebody's always going to do it better. Always, right? You need to be humble to realize that, what you were will not be who you are tomorrow. And therefore you have to continue to want to learn with the changes in the market, right? You have to continue, and you have to be humble enough to learn, to know that you don't know it all, right? That's the first thing. And I think that the second piece that I've learned, right, is the old adage, right? They say the guest is always right. I think hospitality has to design itself around what the guest wants and not what it gives the guest. At the end of the day, they're the ones paying the bills, right? And by that, I mean that, in the hotel school back in the day, you were taught about how service should be done, and, serve from the left, clear from the right, all of that nonsense, right? And we were taught all of that stuff. But really, does that matter, right? In today's day and age, where the customer is predominantly younger than what they were back in the day, they're influenced by pop culture, and they have a shorter attention span than what people had 2 decades ago, right? They are far more casual today than they were, right? Do we really need to stick to our rules of engagement with the customer, or should we adapt to the way the customer wants us to serve them, right? And that, I think, is extremely important. That old adage of the customer is always right is true, because we need to adapt to what the customer wants, right? And also, what I've learned is that we don't need to speak the Queen's English in order to serve the customer. We just need to speak the language of the customer in order to serve the customer. And those are two hugely different things.
Well, thank you so much, Arjun, for your time. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you so much, Adrian. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to Hotel Tech Insider, produced by HotelTechReport.com. Our goal with this podcast is to show you how the best in the business are leveraging technology to grow their properties and outperform the concept by using innovative digital tools and strategies. I encourage all of our listeners to go try at least one of these strategies or tools that you learned from today's episode. Successful digital transformation is all about consistent small experiments over a long period of time. So don't wait until tomorrow to try something new. Do you know a hotelier who would be great to feature on this show? Or do you think that your story would bring a lot of value to our audience? Reach out to me directly on LinkedIn by searching for Jordan Hollander. For more episodes like this, follow Hotel Tech Insider on all major streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music.